29. Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 29. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama You think it's my computer? Huh?
It worked on my computer.
It worked on your computer, so the problem was my computer.
No, not really. It could be device driver issue.
Device driver. That's the computer. Well, let us begin with reciting together. Why don't you take the computer? You take the computer and play with the computer. You take the computer and see if you can, do some magic. And I'm going to need. Yeah, you do what you like. Do you have a Bhagavatam set in the house? 1:8:29. There, you got something. Leave it to teenagers, huh? Okay, now that it's working, I can get the right image on the screen. Beautiful. Put it here. Yeah, thank you. Now we're going to use the sound. Let's see if the sound works. Sound's not working. Well, the sound's not working. Who's our wizard? That's this devotee that fixed this last time. You want to try? Here. See that? It's embedded. Mm-hmm. There it goes. Hey. You just have to walk near the thing and it repair. Okay. Okay. Krishna permitting, we'll carry on. Voice. Veda Kasit Bhagavan Prakirtitam Tadehamanasya Nam Idam Dhanam Nayasya Kasit Gayato
Naveda Kashchit Bhagavan Shikirshita Tavehamanasya Nrinam Vidambanam Mayasya Kashchit Dayitosti Karhichit Dveshasya Yasmin Vishamamatir Nrinam Naveda Kashchit Bhagavan
Shikirtitam Tavehamanasya Nrinam Vidambanam Nayasya Kasit Dayatosti Karhichit O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human, but are so misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. So she is going to speak on this same point again 2 more times. So, partial or impartial? And are his intentions favorable to this and unfavorable to that? It seems to many people there's contradictory, but let's hear what Kunti has to say and the commentators. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed, just as the sun is never partial to anyone. Partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to the recipient, and it is not due to the partiality of the all-merciful Lord. Now that's the declaration. Let's see what's supporting messages. When the Lord descends on this material world, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees only, but that is not the fact. Commentary by Vishwanath. No one knows the intentions of the Lord who desires to hide himself in human form, who does not show favor or hatred to anyone, and about whom all men have different opinions. Vishwanath's commentary. Who will decide the truth about you if there is disagreement? Answer, no one can decide. This is explained in 2 verses. No one knows the plan of you who desires to play the role of human beings as Rama and Krishna. No one knows the plan of you who desire to delude the fools by not letting them see your sweet pastimes. All men have different ideas about you. Yasmin Vishama Mati Nrinam. I'm going to have to get my reading glasses. The sun shows attachment to the sun's stone by imparting its own qualities. it shows indifference to blind people and is helpful to the Chakravaka birds who become joyful when the sun rises and destroys darkness. The sun is harmful to the darkness used by thieves and owls. But the sun is not partial to anyone. It manifests the same light to all. The cause of difference is the good or bad qualities of the specific object. It is the same with the Lord. Different people relate with the Lord in different ways according to their qualities. So that's number 1 of 2, and here's number 2. Janma karma vishvatman ajasya katu atmanaha
Janma karma cha vishvatman ajasya katuratmanam Niryanishishuyadasu Tadatyanta vidambanam
Janma karma vishvatman ajasya katu atmanaha Niryanishishuyadasu Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, that you take birth though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. So this is text 30. So here's a reminder of the previous 29. No one knows the intentions of the Lord who desires to hide himself in human form, who does not show favor or hatred to anyone, and about whom all men have different opinions, which is true. Who will decide the truth about you if there is a disagreement? No one can decide. Dissension. And sometimes it looks like this. Apparently contradictory pastimes, unthinkable by human capacity, leads to what appears to be contradictory. The Lord is the all-pervading supersoul of all existence. Yet, he appears in the form of an animal, like a boar, in the form of a human, as Rama and Krishna, in the form of a rishi, like Narayana Rishi, in the form of an aquatic, like a fish, and yet he is unborn, and he has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than him, because he is inconceivably powerful. Everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Having acknowledged all this, he can be easily understood by the pure devotees because they're intimately related with him. So there's kind of like a key to understanding Bhaktyamam Abhijanati only by devotional service. Because through the medium of devotional service, there's a closeness, and when you're very close to someone, you can understand better about that someone. What to speak of when that someone is perfect someone. O soul of the universe, you are, this is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. You are unborn and perform no actions, but you take birth and perform activities in the form of animals, men, and aquatics. This is extremely deceptive. Understanding the conclusions about your partiality and impartiality, your action or lack of action, your birth or lack of birth, one can relish your pastimes. So there's the surprise factor, and relishing the surprise factor is part of relishing Krishna. You are born though you are unborn, and you perform actions though you are not the doer. You manifest your attractive nature in various forms of animals, humans, and aquatics. This is an extreme deception. Atyanta vidambanam, right within the verse. Atyanta vidambanam. Since it appears that you lessen your stature by accepting inferior forms. When you accepted the boar incarnation, you sniffed out the earth. Though you are omniscient and omnipotent, you became a real boar. But seeing that form, the knower of the truth will not laugh and say that you are simply a mortal animal, thinking that you are a jiva under the control of karma. Since you are actually without birth and material action, your pastimes with birth and action must not actually be true. But this is incompatible with the fact that the pastimes were attractive to Atmaramas like Shukadev. Let's go over that one again. Atmaramas chamunayo nirgranta api urukrame. The Shukadev Goswami was a monist initially. No interest whatsoever in anything material. I'll say it again. No interest whatsoever in anything material. And he became interested in the pastimes of Krishna. So what does that say? The pastimes of Krishna are not material. He had the power to discern or discriminate between, illusion and reality, and what's temporary, so he was attracted, more than attracted. So because he's an Atma-rama person, the happiness is already within, and he's attracted to something like the appearance of the Lord, although he's unborn, and the activities of the Lord, although he has nothing to do. They're not material. However, from the statement of the Lord himself, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha, he who knows the truth, there's something, grammar is wrong. He who knows the truth, the true nature of my birth and activities. The Lord's birth and activities are factual, not fiction. This is incompatible with the statement that the Lord has no birth and no activities. Means transcendental, no material birth, no material activities. Spiritual, everything. Thus one can know the truth about the Lord possessing unlimited, inconceivable powers. Who is that person? She's getting right down to it. Next verse. Yanadin Natavat Te Dadrashu Kalilanjana Sambhamaksham Tam Avanayastatasya Tamam Vimohatayati Pi Peti
Upyadade Tvai Krita Sita Mutavat Yate Dashashu Kalilanjana Sambhamaksham Bhaktram Niniya Bhayabhavanaya Stitasya Sama Vimohayati Hirapi Yadvideti
Yadante Tvayikita
Yate Dashashu
Kalilanjana Sambhamaksham Yakam Yasitasya Samavira My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes. And you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. In other words, she could be saying, if you were just play acting, boo-hoo and tears, and it wasn't really fear, that's easy. But it wasn't just play acting. You were actually afraid. And you who are feared by fear personified is afraid of Mother Jasoda. You see by her right knee there's this little stick, a lati, a little scolding stick. And when Krishna cried, looking his eyes, looking again and again at the stick, she put the stick down. But he's still crying and crying and crying. So who is fear personified? There's a little explanation found in the 4th canto. By the combination of Kali and Durukti were born the children named Mrityu and Bhiti. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude, but the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. The Lord's pastimes in the original abode of Goloka Vrindavan are exchanged in that spirit. So the cowherd boys, and there's little Radharani and little Krishna, and as if they're little boys and little girls. Or the friends of Krishna consider him one of them. They do not consider him to be reverential, of reverential importance. All day long, at least in their childhood, just playing in games and like child play, and treating Krishna like one of them. The Lord accepts chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. He accepts the reproaches of his fiancées more palatably than the Vedic hymns. And yet he has this intimacy, but he's afraid of the little stick in Mother Jasoda's hand, and he who's feared by fear personified. There's an interesting image of fear. I have another one, but I like, this is a good one. By saying, fear is afraid of you, Kunti shows her awareness of Krishna's power as the Lord. So she is not a Brijbasi. She marvels at the Brijbasis and the kind of love the Vrajavasis have for Krishna, and the kind of love that Krishna has for the Vrajavasis. To her, it's all bewildering. To her, to understand the power of Krishna, that's understandable. But fear, who's afraid of you, that you're showing fear to Mother Yasoda, she accepts as true, this is Kunti, accepts as true that he was internally feeling fear. It would not be possible for her to be bewildered if she thought he was only imitating being fearful. And this is one of the characteristics of Krishna that's honored by Vaishnavas. He's Bhaktavatsala. Now back to the initial question: is he favorably disposed? He's reciprocating. That's what he's doing. And so those who have affection for him, he reciprocates with affection for them in kind. Bhaktavatsala with Mother Yasoda, who's chasing him with the stick in her hand, Mother Yasoda, who's binding him, and Krishna with the cowherd boys, and the gopas and gopis, in Krishna's Bhaktavatsala. In all those circumstances, just the variegated ways are just the manifestations of his reciprocation with them. Very nice pastime when the cowherd boys went to the shore of the river Jamuna and drank water because they were very thirsty. It was a hot summer. Because of Kalia, the cows and the cowherd boys fell to the ground as if dead. When Krishna saw that scene, but then there was one moment, the next moment he knew exactly what to do. By glancing at them, they became fully revived. And they didn't know what happened. It's like they just had woken up from a deep sleep. Now, that's the end of our session for this evening. There's one little glimpse at what's coming next. What's coming next is text 32. We're going to discuss text 32 next time we discuss Kunti's prayers. But here's the translation. Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. And others say that he is born to please King Yadu, one of your great, dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya Hills. That is to say, that you'll hear the explanation with part 5. But sandalwood can grow anywhere. And it's particularly well known for growing in Malaya, and Malaya there's Malaya Chandan, or the Malaya Hills. The hills are glorified by the sandalwood that grows there. So similarly, Yadu would be a forgotten person, except for the fact that Krishna appeared in his dynasty. So many places in the Mahabharata, the Yadavas, and the Kauravas, and the Vrishnis, and so that the ancestors are celebrated. In preparation for this Thanksgiving holiday, I learned many things. One of the many things that I learned was about Bharata. Bharata was the son of Dushmanta, a king, and Shakuntala. And this king, saw Shakuntala in the forest, became very attracted to her. With the union between Dushmanta and Shakuntala, a child was born. And after some time, neither of them wanted the child. So they left the child in the forest, and some Maruts took care of the child. And the child, his name was Bharata. And Bharata had unique characteristic as a young boy. He played with the wild animals in the forest according to the Bhagavatam and the Mahabharata, like a child plays with a cat or a dog. The lions and tigers and elephants, rhinoceroses, and he just play with them, slap them around and toss them around, and so he was fearless. So the rishis living in the forest gave him a second name. I forget the second name. The second name indicates he who Sahasra Damana, something like that. He can dominate anyone. Not Sahasra, something to Damana. Sarva Damana. Sarva Damana. And in many cases, just like the descendants of Yadu are called Yadavas. So sometimes the descendants of Bharata are called, Bharata is called Bharata, or scion of Bharata, or son of Bharata, descendant of Bharata, because he was a celebrated king in their line. So he gets to be known, or the Pandavas get to know in relation to him. So some say and some say. So that there's different opinions, as she already indicated. There are many opinions. And so many opinions don't have to mean that if this one's right, then the next one is not right or is wrong. There can be many opinions that are right, because he has many features and many relationships with many personalities. And Queen Kunti, she has hers. And the lens through which she looks is he's her nephew. At the same time, she understands he's not her nephew. He's the unborn supreme who appears in this way and that way, and is a mystery to everybody. Yet she knows who he is. On the one hand, she doesn't know. On the other hand, she knows. So let's see if there's some discussion. Queen Kunti's prayers. I would say we were doing really well with the other, the discussion. There's fewer people here today than the other times. I don't know why. But that's okay. Comments or questions? Yes. Here's a little microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the lecture. In the slide, you wrote that that the Lord is always impartial and he equally distributes his love to everyone. But in many places, it's written that he also favors his devotees. So I'm just wondering, how do we understand this?
It's the appearance only. When he, there's examples. One example, when Krishna was challenging Karna. Remember the very introduction to Queen Kunti. So he spoke strongly. Karna, you should be killed. No, it sounded like he was condemning him, like he's against, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like that. But he just reciprocated. with the spirit of Karna. So Karna, and that's one example. Kamsa, and others, the demons that Krishna killed in Vrindavan, one after the next. But they were liberated. It appears like, Krishna was being unkind to them and kind to the devotee, but it's just reciprocation with their regard for him. And according to their regard for him, he reciprocates. So that's how to see the apparent partiality and the opposite. It's clear? Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the class. As we were discussing, where Queen Kunti is saying the fear personified fears from you, but on the other hand, Satyavrata Muni writes, Yashoda Biholuka, during the Damodar pastime, that he's fearing from Mother Yashoda. I know it's a part of the rasa.
Yes, that's it.
But can you elaborate a little bit more on that, if possible?
Yeah, sure. It's a nice topic to elaborate on. What's rasa? Rasa, a very simple English translation of the word rasa is juice. So what's juice? Well, commonly juice is from fruits. There's apple juice, orange juice, lemon juice, mango juice, pineapple juice. There's, different flavors of juice. Similarly, there's different rasas, different flavors of rasa. And Krishna, by the Upanishad definition, Krishna is rasa. He is the repository of all rasa. Within Krishna is all rasa. So Krishna is experiencing, because he experiences in exchange with others, and sometimes. Because he wants. So he gets what he wants. He's all-powerful, and he wants to experience these different rasas and stimulate these rasas in the hearts and the minds of his devotees, and so he stimulates them. So he puts himself in danger in the coils of the Kaliya serpent. So the residents of Vrindavan, they experience a rasa. And Krishna lets it go until they're fainting on the side of the river Jamuna. And then he frees himself and dances on the hoods of the Kali. So he does different to stimulate rasa, but it's on the transcendental platform. So it may appear that Krishna is in shock. He likes it. Astonishment is one of the 12 rasas. Adbhuta rasa. When the cowherd boys and calves go inside the mouth of Aghasura, Krishna experiences the rasa of astonishment. And then that rasa, that wave moves, and then another wave comes as virya rasa, as chivalry. Then, so it's just one of the ways of looking at pastimes of Krishna. It's just rasa, varieties of rasa. So he's moving in this world according to his desire to experience rasa and to stimulate rasa of his devotees. And the non-devotees, they experience a rasa in relation to Krishna. So powerful. And then depending upon their heart's disposition, they may change their ways, they may not change their ways. hardcore demons, they don't change their ways. So Krishna finishes them and they get liberated. Does that address your question? Rasa and varieties. And then mixtures of rasas. And mixtures of the mixtures. So and then there's compatible and there's incompatible. And the connoisseurs of juice, they know which juice works well with that juice and which juices are incompatible with one another. Anyone else? Yeah.
Maharaj, this could be a stupid question.
Uh-oh.
Normally in the Bhagavatam, when the prayers are offered to the Lord,
Yeah.
Lord generally gives some benediction. Like, for example, like Prahlad Maharaj, or Dhruva Maharaj or Gajendra, when he was taken out of the problem. But I was reading the Queen Kunti's prayer, and at the end of the prayer, Lord just smiles.
He just smiled.
So
He didn't say anything.
yeah,
He didn't say anything.
so it kind of sounded interesting to me that it's kind of different. So are Kunti's prayer different than any other prayers?
No, there's many prayers that he remains silent. It's not all of them, obviously, because you're indicating there are others. But he can, and there are times he just remains silent. And there's a message in that silence. Her heart is touched in a different way. It's a rasa. So much depends on the circumstance and the relationship with the devotee, and how the devotee understands the reciprocation by his silence, or giving a benediction, or whatever. Just today, I spent about 2 hours going over some very elaborate prayers offered by Markandeya Rishi to Narayan Rishi. And there's elaborate prayers. And at the end, he hasn't offered a benediction, but he asks for one. He wants to see the Lord's Maya. And so the Lord's, all he says is, so be it. And nothing happens right away. But after some time, it happens. And he shows him the illusory energy. It's, very fascinating what he shows him. So he's understood the reciprocation was there too, because Markandeya Rishi was a great devotee. Wasn't just a nice fellow. Okay?
Thank you, Maharaj.
Over on the ladies' side.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. You talked about Bhakta Vatsala. So definitely Krishna is Bhakta Vatsala. So I was thinking about Ajamila. So he was taking Lord's name,
Yes.
but it was for his son, right? So, but I don't think that the rasa was not for the Lord.
That's correct.
But still, Lord reciprocated him. So just if you can.
Well, there's commentary that says different things. One of the commentary that says, although he was calling his son, because he was calling his son, and his past activity as a Brahmana, he remembered Lord Narayan. There's two commentaries. One is Abbas, Nam Abbas, and the other was is meant by even through Nam Abbas, remembrance came. And when he was calling, it was with at least some tinge or trace or some degree of remembrance. But the Lord isn't bound whether we remember or we don't remember. He's independent. And he chose to do what he did. Now here's a nice detail. It's not emphasized so much, but in connection with the visit to Haridwar in Rishikesh, it's important. After he was saved and the Yamadutas went away and the Vishnu Dutas went away, what did he do? What happened next? He went to Haridwar and he underwent great austerities for a long period of time and revived his dormant Krishna consciousness. So it was the exchange with the Yamadutas and the Vishnu Dutas, and he got to hear that Bhagavatam class between the two. His original Krishna consciousness became revived to some degree, and then further and further. Now back to the frame of your question. He was feelingly calling because of the circumstance. It was death. And there's the Yamadutas, and he knows what that means. And they're very fierce looking, and he knows what that means. So he was fearful. And he called out, blood-curdling call for his son, but the name of the Supreme Lord. So that's even that much of the Abbas manifestation. That's very powerful. It's not so dissimilar from what we do, Nam Abbas, as opposed to Shuddhanam. A little different, circumstantially different, but not so different. The shadow of. Anything else from the ladies' side? While we're over here? You have something? Okay. You have something. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you for the wonderful class. Maharaj, in the previous verse, Queen Kunti is saying, Yashoda took up a rope to bind you when you committed an offense. Is offense
He broke the broader pot.
But it's generally we have those 10 offenses and it's very strong word.
No, it's not like that. Don't think like that. Okay. She's a mother, and mothers don't like their children to steal. That's the offense.
That's the offense. Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. After Dhritarashtra and Kunti Devi left their bodies, Kunti Devi, how did she left her body actually?
So you want to know more about the circumstance?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? What you're asking, the circumstance of Kunti's departure in connection with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari's departure. That's what you're asking?
Yes.
It's not really clear. I mentioned it in the morning Bhagavatam class, that Kunti, went with Gandhari and Dhritarashtra when they left to go to undergo their austerities. That's clear. The exact circumstance of her departure isn't clear. All that's mentioned is that this little you saw from the very first day, the last slide of the second, the exemplary life of Queen Kunti. She, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, disappeared. Now exactly what does that mean? He doesn't say. So I don't have the information of what was the circumstance other than she disappeared. one might conclude X, Y, or Z. She just like poof, disappeared. Or it might be that she also entered into the fire along with Gandhari. Maybe, but it doesn't say. She disappeared. That was it, your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is I don't know. Or I don't know of any scriptural reference to say specifically. I probably can, here's what I'll do. Somebody provide me with a little reminder, and I'll do a little homework before our final class on Queen Kunti, her prayers. And I'll see if I can find some scholars that have the answer. Although my research thus far couldn't come up with an answer. But maybe there's something somewhere authoritative. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the class. I was just curious about everyone in this material world are illusion, like they're part of, like they are trapped by the Maya and all. But devotees as highly renowned as Kunti Mata, they are surrendered to Krishna. So we expect in these kind of devotees, Krishna sitting in their heart. So the prayers that are coming from them, is it through free will or is it through Krishna, or is it like, I'm just trying to understand the degree of free will that they are.
Well, it's different for different individuals, isn't it? Some more, some less. It's different for different individuals.
It's like Krishna talking to Krishna.
Yeah, I mean, then I'll just speak. There's in preparation for the Thanksgiving holiday, because that's been my immersion during the daytime. With the life of Maharaj Parikshit, there's two particularly outstanding examples. One of them is when in the beginning of Canto 6, after he has heard the conclusion of Canto 5, where the description of the hellish planets is presented, the first part of Canto 6, what can be done to relieve people of the suffering that they'll undergo in the hellish planets? He's going to die in, 6 more cantos. And he's concerned about people that are in the hellish planets. What is that a sign of? He's a very compassionate person. And there's some similar response when he hears about Putana. In the 10th canto, there's a description of Putana comes. And she's searching for, the first part is she's searching for Krishna. And then the second part is she finds Krishna. And she comes right in, she's about to try to poison Krishna. And as Shukadeva Goswami, when Shukadeva Goswami is narrating that, right in the midst of the 10th canto, Maharaj Parikshit gets, he wants to do something to stop, because he's a king, and she's going to kill Krishna. So he wants to do something to protect Krishna. That's his kingly bhav, protection. What to speak of anyone, everyone, he's a protector type. Krishna's at risk. So it stimulates his love. In that connection, there's this lengthy description. I think I'll get into it when we were in Houston. King Kulashekar, who from a different sampradaya, but King Kulashekar Prabhupada liked specifically. There's some prayers that he referred to, many times. That he's a very exalted person. part of the narration of his life was he loved Ramayana. And he didn't just love Ramayana like people love Ramayana. He was on the platform of spontaneous love. So much so that when the Brahmana who was reciting the Bhagavatam understood his mood, his spontaneous mood, when Ramachandra was in difficulty, the king would call his armies and go charging, ready to do combat. And so the Brahmana had to get a message, Ramachandra is taking care of it. He found Sita. So it's okay. But then the Brahmana assistant was not well, so there was someone else that carried. So the Brahmana assistant stopped reciting that section, those sections that might incite the spontaneous love of the king that way. But when he was ill or out of town or something to that effect, another Brahmana, he didn't skip the part. So when it was said what Hanuman had experienced when he went to Lanka and saw what he saw, and he got his armies and started charging into the ocean with his armies. And the armies were following because he's the king. And what to do our king is the spontaneous bhakta. And so, they made an arrangement. Ram has secured Sita. It's okay. Ravana has been killed. It's okay. You can go back to your kingdom now. Oh, okay. So, in other words, back to your question, there's degrees of immersion. And hearing the same narration that we might when we read Ramayana, and what King Kulashekar experienced, or somebody, or something, when Maharaj Parikshit heard the Putana Leela, or the fifth canto, depending upon the individual, there's going to be a different response, spiritually speaking. And then what to speak of the spontaneous devotion. And who can say what our exalted acharyas that have love for Krishna in Vrindavan, what they experience when they hear pastimes. Whew. And the nature of rag is it can't be checked. There's this eagerness, laulyam, greediness that nothing can stop it once it's there. It's just compulsive. Spiritually, to the point where it's like madness. Like King Kulashekar. It was like a mad king to protect Ram and protect Sita. So it's degrees. That's my answer to your question.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Is there someone way in the back? You raising your hand back there? No. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, as you said that the rasa, mixing of rasas, so comparing the material living entities are mixed with Sattva-guna, Rajaguna and Tamaguna. Can we understand in spiritual world also there are mixing of rasa so that the devotees can reciprocate with Lord?
I'm not sure what you're asking, but the rasa of the spiritual world, the potential of everything is within the source of everything. However, there's no demons, there's no opposition. So sometimes the Lord creates pastimes in this realm in such a way that there's opposition, etc. Other rasas that are not available in the spiritual realm, whether it's Ayodhya or Goloka or Vaikuntha. There's different, the Lord appears, and so that that which is within him, the everything that's within him, can be experienced in this realm. Because there's, for example, the opposition and chivalry. There's no chivalry in Vaikuntha. So it's arranged here. Chivalry. It's a rasa. Does that address your question? I'm not really sure what your question was. Does that address
Thank
your...
you, Maharaj.
Yes?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. I think we're done. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This isn't the right time for that.
So Meera is going to give a short summary of your class.
Huh? Oh, summarize.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for coming to our house. Some points that I wrote were Krishna is unborn, no one is equal to or grateful to him. Some people don't understand that Krishna can do anything and everything. You also told us about Bhakta Vatsalya when Mother Yashoda was binding Krishna and chasing him. You can control Krishna only by bhav and love. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.